If I dropped you onto this island without telling you where you were, I don't think you'd guess it was Earth. And I mean that almost literally. There are trees here shaped like umbrellas that someone forgot to close. There are plants that look like they're made of bone. When you cut into one of the trees, it doesn't leak sap, it bleeds dark red. The locals have called it dragon's blood for thousands of years, and honestly, once you see it, you understand why. This place is real. It's about 250 kilometers off the coast of Yemen, sitting alone in the Arabian Sea. And the strangest thing about it isn't any single plant or animal. It's that roughly a third of everything living here exists nowhere else on the planet. Not rare, not endangered, just nowhere else. So today I want to fly down onto this island and try to figure out how a chunk of Earth ends up feeling this much like another world, because the answer turns out to be older and stranger than I expected.
Let's get our bearings first. This is Socotra. On the map, it looks like it should belong to Africa. The Horn of Africa is right there, just across the water. Politically, it belongs to Yemen, which is off to the northwest. But geologically, it doesn't really belong to anyone. And that's the first clue to the whole thing. Most islands out in the middle of an ocean are young. A volcano pushes up through the seafloor, cools down, and over a few million years, plants and animals drift in on the wind and the currents and slowly colonize it. Socotra isn't that kind of island. Socotra is a broken-off piece of an ancient continent. Around 20 million years ago, this was attached to the mainland. Then the land pulled apart, the way continents do over enormous stretches of time, and this fragment drifted out into the sea and just stayed there, alone. And once it was cut off, it stopped getting new arrivals. Whatever was living on it when it separated got locked in and then had 20 million years with no outside interference to become something else entirely. That's the key to everything you're about to see. This isn't a place where alien life showed up. It's a place where ordinary life was left in a sealed room for 20 million years and came out the other side unrecognizable. And the clearest example is those trees I mentioned at the start. They're called dragon's blood trees, and from above they look almost fake, perfectly round, dense canopies, like green mushrooms scattered across the rock. That shape isn't decoration. The canopy is so tight because it's built to catch moisture out of the mist and funnel it down toward the roots in a place that barely gets any rain. The tree essentially learned to drink fog. But the name comes from what's inside. Cut into the bark, and it doesn't run clear, it runs deep red, a dark crimson resin that the people here have harvested for thousands of years. They used it as dye, as medicine, as a varnish, and here's a detail I love. Some of the old violin makers in Europe are believed to have used this exact resin to get that deep red finish on their instruments. Back in the Middle Ages, European traders paid serious money for dragon's blood. They just had no idea where it actually came from. It arrived through a chain of middlemen from somewhere far past the edge of the maps they trusted. To them, it might as well have come from a myth, and in a way, it did. It came from here.
There's something else the ancient world knew Socotra for, even if they couldn't have told you its name: the smell. This island grows several kinds of frankincense and myrrh, and in a concentration you don't find anywhere else. If you've ever heard those words only from a Christmas story and assumed they were just fancy old gifts, this is where that world actually lived. These were among the most valuable substances in the ancient economy. People burned them in temples across Greece, Rome, and Arabia, and they treated the scent as something close to sacred. And here's the part that gets me. Those civilizations knew the smell, they traded for it, they worshipped with it, and most of them had no real idea where it came from, just that it arrived from some island out past the known world. Socotra was, for a very long time, less a place than a rumor with a scent attached to it. Now, let's talk about the animals, because this is where the island does something to your instincts. There are no venomous snakes here, no large predators. Nothing on Socotra evolved to hunt anything your size. And that changes the entire mood of the place in a way that's hard to describe until you're standing in it. The animals here aren't afraid of people, not because anyone tamed them, nobody did. Birds will land on your hand, they'll sit there calm, looking at you. And it's not curiosity exactly, it's the opposite. It's the absence of a very old warning that every other animal on Earth carries in its blood. Be careful of that thing on two legs. These creatures never got that warning. For millions of years, nothing on this island had a reason to fear anything bigger than itself, so they simply don't. You're looking at what animals are like when fear of humans was never written into them in the first place. It's peaceful and slightly unsettling at the same time.
So, by now you might be wondering if I'm exaggerating when I say this place feels like another planet. I'm not the one who made that comparison. Seriously, NASA did. Socotra has been included on lists of places on Earth that come closest to conditions on other worlds. It's been looked at as a kind of model, a way to think about what early life might have looked like on Mars, back when Mars was a different place. Not because there are aliens here, because the environment is so isolated, so specific, so unlike the mainland it broke away from, that it functions as a natural laboratory for imagining life somewhere else entirely. And there's one last piece that ties it all together, and it's not about the plants or the animals. It's about the people. The people here speak Socotri. It's a language that existed for thousands of years with no written form at all, passed down entirely by mouth, generation after generation. And linguists who've studied it say it's strange in the same way everything else on this island is strange. It's so different from the languages around it that its origins still aren't fully understood. The same isolation that reshaped the trees and the animals reshaped the human voice here too. That's the thing I keep coming back to. Nothing on Socotra is actually alien. Every strange tree, every fearless bird, every word in that language started out as something ordinary. It just got left alone. 20 million years of alone, no contact, no interference, no reason to become anything other than exactly what this specific island asked it to become. And I think that's stranger than aliens, honestly. It means you don't need another planet to get a world this unfamiliar. You just need a piece of this one, cut off long enough, left to follow its own rules. I've put the coordinates in the description so you can drop down onto it yourself and fly over those trees. See if it looks as much like another planet to you as it does to me. And if you know of a place like this, somewhere that looks impossible from above and has a real story underneath it, leave it in the comments. I read them, and the good ones I go digging into for the next video.